This is a quick video on top working strategies for mangoes. Here is a recent top work that I've been doing. This is a Kent seedling. That's probably about 3-4 years old. You can see how thick the trunk is here. And I started top working this one about a year and a half ago. You see this is a recent graft of about a year. This one took and is growing very nicely. Same over here. You can see in here, this is another cleft graft that was done about a little over 2 years ago. And this one is also growing aggressively. I've cut this one back a few times and used some of the cuttings for budwood for additional grafts. You can see down here, this scion died. It did not make it. Technically, it's still kind of alive there. There's a little bit of green, but this is likely a failed graft. And I've selected 2 other branches, one here and one here, in an attempt to top work. So I put them inside these little plastic cookie bags here to maintain moisture and protect from direct sun. They get a little sunlight from that plastic window. So waiting on those 2 to take. This one looks like it's got a little bit of growth protruding out the top, so this one might actually take. And then I'll have 4 solid branches on this tree that have been top worked if this goes through. So Alfonso's been a pretty good grower from top working, but I think this is about a 3-foot high tree. That's about a good size after 5 years or so to start top working mango trees in Southern California. This is a Manila mango seedling, and you'll hear often on web forums that Manila makes a great rootstock for mango trees here. This is about 5 years old and hasn't grown much. It's got a decent trunk on it, but I grafted on Alfonso to this one. You see a cleft graft was done there about a year ago. Actually, I think it was about 2 years ago. And you got a veneer graft here on this branch coming out. And it's been growing really slowly, but put out this really vigorous shoot. So I cut that off and then grafted another Alfonso scion to this tree. So not all Manila seedlings are created the same. This one grows fairly slowly and is only about 2.5 feet tall or so, but it's almost fully top worked over. Here is another fully top worked tree. So one of the strategies is to top work it as low as you can off of the main rootstock, or graft it so that you can switch over the varieties. Here I have 3 branches that have been top worked. One of them was done way up here, so you can see down at the base. It goes up, and I cleft grafted here, this branch. This is a sweet tart. So it's got 1 branch that's been top worked, and the other also done. I think this one went a little bit lower down here, but this has been a nice aggressive growing varietal. And I've taken scions off of this to top work other trees as well. I'm letting it hold 1 mango, which has split, so it's probably a nubbin, and this one's gonna be no good, so I could probably take this bag off and let this branch grow. So you wanna get the fruit off so that it allows it to push growth. But again, this is probably about a 5-year-old seedling. Probably a little bit thicker trunk than you'd want a little bit thicker trunk before starting to graft onto them, just to ensure that you don't get persistent flowering coming out of winter time. But this one grows more than a flower, so this is a good size for me, right about 3 feet tall. This is an Altulfo seedling, Altulfo mango seedling that was top worked to lemon zest. And this only has 2 graft points. Again, kind of keeping it lower towards the base. Here's one that was recently done the past year or so, and It's got a few branches growing off of it now. And then the other one here, you can see this cleft graft is taken off and it's formed the top canopy structure. What I don't see with Atulfo seedlings is a lot of growth that you get towards the bottom of the trunk that you have to knock off sometimes. I'll show you what that looks like on a Kent rootstock that I converted over to sweet tart. All right, here's a 3-foot tall sweet tart that's been fully top worked over. This was done on a Kent rootstock. And for some of these that perhaps stress a little bit, you get some of this growth down here at the bottom that you want to break off and keep the growing above the graft lines. So there's a number of graft lines. Here's one of them. Same with these other branches. I think I grafted 4 main branches here. And I don't really let this hold fruit. I've got one on here right now. But for the next year or so, I want this to just focus on growth. So there's a few mangoes that I'm letting hold, but for the most part, give it about 2 or 3 years after it's been top worked to really flush out and turn into a mature tree. Sometimes you'll see here's a graft point that I had to support a little bit with this green tape as it was holding fruit, but I could probably remove this green tape now. Here are 2 more Atulfo mango rootstocks that I'm looking to top work. You'll see here I've started the grafting up a little bit higher than I would prefer, primarily because I had some precious scion material that was gifted to me and I want to ensure that it took. So normally what you'd want to do is cut it off here and let the new shoots that come out graft on top of those, but I obviously didn't have the time to do that, so I grafted it up a little higher. This was Super Julie, and this one took, and I've got another one in here I've done a side cleft graft on. I'm waiting for this one to push. So once those grow out, which they'll take off pretty quickly, I'll start hacking the branches down at about this level and then using budwood from these scions to graft onto the new growth. Same with this one. This is a little bit higher, although I might be able to work with some of these that are breaking through. This was peach cobbler scions. Thanks again, Richard, for donating those to me. I got one here that's taken. It's starting to push out new growth, so if I remove the bag, so I could probably use the branch coming out of this one, and then once these take, which they've been green for a little while, so it's probably just a matter of time before they start pushing. Once they'll start growing, I can start grafting onto these branches, maybe this top leader here, and this one will be top worked over to peach cobbler. I will conclude this top working video with an example of my library tree. So this is where I'm keeping top working my tree with all the different varieties of seedlings and name selections on one tree. So this was one of the first ones I did. This whole branch here is Alfonso. This branch here is a sugarloaf seedling, or E4, and I did the neighboring branch with it as well, which, believe it or not, this is only less than 2 years old, and this thing is just taken off. It's formed its own tree, but it hasn't fruited. It's only grown a lot. And I've got lemon zest on this branch right here. Here's some new ones that I grafted. So this is 13-1, and actually I have 2 of them here. This one is also 13-1. I've got a bunch of others, some Maha Chinook seedlings, some Ott, some What else is up there? M4 seedlings. I'm putting Valencia Pride on here. Let's see, I've got this little ice cream down here, ice cream seedling that I've grafted on and is taken. And I've got a ST Malley up here somewhere that's starting to push. You can see inside the bag there's a little green in there. That's ST Malley seedling. So yeah, after this is all done, this hopefully has about 20 plus different varieties on it. And here's another one called Red Saigon seedling that I grafted it about a year and a half ago. So that's an example of what you can do with top working mango trees.